She loved life, and she lived it to the fullest.
She just had this light. Whenever you talked to her, she brought so much light to everybody.
She was bigger in life. She was 5 foot nothing, 110 pounds, but she was like this dynamo. And when she come into the room, she would light it up.
She was the nicest person I've ever met in my life. Better person than I ever could be.
September 17th is a day that I will never forget. I hate that day. And it's a day that I lost my little girl.
I said, I love you, Maria. And I love you more, Mom, and she slammed the door, and that's the last time I talked to her.
So at 2:25 in the morning, the dog started barking, and I heard a car door. And I said, thank God she's home.
The doorbell rings, and went to answer it.
And I looked out the window, and I saw 7 policemen standing there. One of them said chaplain. And as a dad, you know, you just know this isn't good.
That's her parents were slamming.
He said, I don't know how to tell you this, but she was in a horrible accident tonight and she didn't make it.
There's been a tragedy impacting the Teays family this morning, and we're sad to report that Dom Taveri's 21-year-old daughter, Maria, died last night in a car accident along I-270.
To me, it's like 5 minutes ago. It seems like it just happened. I have a hard time not thinking about that night. It is a parent's worst nightmare, and that's the reason that we have done what we've done. Distracted driving, yeah, it's texting, it's playing on the phone. I mean, it's eating, it's putting makeup on, and we may never know what happened to her. Clearly something happened. For her to hit a semi-truck at 53 miles an hour. We can either give up, stay in self-pity, or we can pick ourselves up and try to do something about this. I never wanted Maria to be a statistic. I want people to know that if it can happen to me, my family, it can certainly happen to your family. It is the #1 killer. The age group 8 to 24. I want to save lives. We want to save lives. We don't want to have any more tragedies.
It only takes a second to be distracted, and it can happen to anybody. And you look away, it can happen.
You know, I'd much rather be talking to you guys about Buckeye football and the sports, but today I'm not Dom Taveri sportscaster, Dom Taveri the guy that hosts the Urban Meyer Show. I'm here today as a grieving dad. I got a broken heart, and I'm telling you it's never going to be healed. It's no different than any other parent. You know, I watched that video, I've seen this video, this is the 39th high school. I've probably watched that video 50 times, and it's hard to watch, I listen. But I look and I see Maria and I think about memories. And, you know, it kind of dawned on me, I was sitting there, that Maria's just a memory now. And I don't want any of you guys ever to be just a memory. And it's hard, you know, it is so hard, because Maria's the first thing I think about in the morning, the last thing I think about at night, and if I'm lucky enough to sleep, I dream about her. It just sucks. That's all I can tell you. Parents, we as humans, we're not built to bury our kids. You know, high school's so much fun. It's prom week. And I remember when I was in high school how much fun it was. And I want you guys to have fun. And I look and I see, you know, a bunch of good kids. Sometimes good kids make bad decisions and you can't live with it. You know, I see so many close friends out there. I want you to think about how important your friends are in high school. It seems like it was yesterday. My girls were in high school. My son was in high school. And they were Snapchatting and they were Instagramming and they were doing tweets to each other and they were on the phone. And, you know, it's so important your friends are. And I want you to think about your friend. You're probably sitting with them. You're sitting close to them. Look at them. Think about how important they are in your life. and how much time you spend with them. Think about how often you talk. And as you look at your friend, I want you to imagine they're gone. They're lying in a casket and they're dead. I don't have to imagine anymore, guys. My wife doesn't have to imagine anymore. My kids don't have to imagine anymore. How many of you out there drive now? How many of you have ever texted while you're driving? And let me just say this, no one's keeping track. What you've done in the past, it doesn't matter right now. How many have texted while driving? How many of you have eaten food while you're driving? For you girls out there, how many of you put makeup on while you're driving? And I've done it on the TV, they make us wear it. I mean, distracted driving is an epidemic in this country. And what it is, it's anything that takes your hands off the wheel, your eyes off the road, and your mind off your driving. Anything. And you know, there's a reason why the state of Ohio has laws on the books that says they don't want a bunch of kids in the car, because you get in there, you're having a good time, you're screwing around, and all of a sudden something happened that is bad. And we saw it at the beginning of the summer last year, the Johnstown tragedy. I don't know how many of you saw it in the news. 5 kids, aged 15 to 17, in a car. It was the beginning of summer. They got the whole summer to think about, and you know, they're carefree. You know how you guys are when you get out of school, driving down the road. The boy that was driving was 16 years old, had his license for 2 months, had 4 other kids, aged 15 to 17, in the car with him. Going too fast, lost control, hit a tree, the car broke in half. The 3 kids that were in the back seat, none of them had a seatbelt on, they were all killed instantly. 2 girls and a boy. The boy's dad reached out to me. I mean, 3 families. And, you know, that boy that was 16 years old, he's in jail. But I want you to put yourself in his spot. You guys have probably had kids in your car. They were his friends. He didn't mean to kill them. But the fact is, they're dead. And they're not coming back. And he's got to live with that the rest of his life. And you guys have to understand, the roads that you travel every day are the most dangerous in the state of Ohio. Rural roads, 23, like the roads that you drive around, that are narrow, 45, 50 miles an hour. That's where we see the horrific accidents. You have to be extra diligent when you're driving. It takes just a split second. It takes just a split second. On September 17th, Maria came home about 9:30. And she said that she had to go to the library down at Ohio State and study. I said, Maria, you're not going to the library. Come on. Well, we called Maria the attorney. She would argue about everything. She would turn it around. And she said, Dad, when I moved back home, because she'd lived down on campus in a house 2 years, she said, when I moved back home, you said there'd be no restrictions. I'm 21 years old. You said I could come and go as I please. And here you are putting restrictions. I said, you're right. You're 21. Just don't be late. So she left the house at 10:38 at night. She got about 3 miles from our house. And something caused her to hit a semi-truck at 53 miles an hour. 10:43 the accident was. And we didn't get notified, like I said in the video, so several hours later. At 2:25, I sat in what I call my worry chair, and your parents all have worry chairs. Don't kid yourselves. They worry about you every time you leave the house. And I sat in a chair and I waited. And I heard the dogs bark and a car door shut, and my heart fluttered, and I said, thank God she's home. I wanted to call her so many times. just to say, where are you? You said you were going to be late. Where are you? You said you were going to be late. I didn't know she was dead. And at 2:27 in the morning, when that doorbell rang 5 times, and I looked out and I saw those police officers, 7 of them, that's just in my mind. I can't get that out of my mind in the words when he said she was dead. And you know, I played ball. I've always considered myself a tough person. I'm here to tell every one of you guys, there's nothing worse than have to walk in a hospital and see someone you love so much laying on a gurney, and I couldn't bring her home. I had to leave her there. And that's the reality of this, guys. She's now a memory. And I had to leave her there. You know, as parents, our kids are everything to us. To your parents, you are everything to them. They worry about you from the time you're born, and they will never quit worrying about you. I'm 56 years old. My mom is 79. My dad is 77. And I'm still their little boy. And I always will be. It doesn't matter how old you are. Parents worry about their kids. When I put out on social media that I was coming here, I got all kinds of responses from your parents saying, thank God. I hope my son listens. I hope my daughter listens. What I really want is for you guys to go home tonight, go up to your folks and give them a big hug, tell them you love them, and tell them that you're going to be better drivers. Good God, I know, I wish I could hug Maria. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional today. But I see young girls, and I see Maria in every one of you guys. You know, she's going to graduate in May. It's not going to happen now. And it's hard, man. I just want you guys to understand there is nothing cool about death. There's nothing glamorous about it. It takes everything you have, everything you're ever going to have, and it stops. It ends. And it robs moms, dads, grandma, and grandpas of their dreams that they had for you. I wanted to see Maria graduate next month. I wanted to see her walk down the aisle. I wanted her to make me a grandpa. Not going to happen. And, you know, I've always had great respect for Teays Valley. When I was in high school, I came down here, I told your principal that I wrestled against a guy named Bill Toole. You guys probably know the Toole family there. And I just always had great respect for this community. And I'm begging you guys, don't be a memory. Don't do this to your parents. Prom's going to be fun this year, but I don't want to get up Sunday morning and see that there was a tragedy down here. You guys are smart kids. You know what's right and what's wrong. Is it really worth texting? Is it really worth having a car full of guys drinking and driving? Look, we were all your age once. We were all 16, 17, and 18. And we probably all thought we were 7 feet tall and had S's on our chest. It's a different world today, guys. And it is an epidemic. If one of you guys are going to die, it's probably going to be in a car crash. It's so scary when you think about, in this country, heart disease is the #1 killer, cancer is #2, and car crashes is #3. But in your age group, age 8 to 24, it's the #1 killer. In the United States alone, every year, roughly 33,000 people die on our highways. 70% of them are in your age group. Maria was 21, 8 to 24. And there's no do-overs. The thing that sucks the most, parents want to be that safety net. We want to be there to give you a second chance. There's no second chances from death. Every 5 minutes in Ohio, there's an injury accident. You heard the fire chief talk about there's 100 runs just in this small community. Every 5 minutes, there's an injury accident. And thank God, to modern medicine, more people are surviving. But at what cost? How many kids, how many folks are walking around with limbs missing or traumatic brain injuries? I know 2 kids in the Dublin community where we live that were involved in accidents. One was an honor student, 4-point plus, traumatic head injury, and he's now like he's 4 years old. I want you guys to be the leaders. You know, nobody wants a police officer till there's one not around. I can't imagine the hell the first responders have. Can you imagine rolling up on a scene, seeing a kid trapped in a car, having to cut that kid out, the firemen come, they've got to deal with it, the kid, in Maria's case, she died right there. Can you imagine? I've talked to those first responders. They're as shook up as anything. Nobody wants to see that. And then they got to go knock on the mom and dad's door and tell them that you're not coming home. If you see a kid drinking this weekend, don't let him drive. Don't let him drive. If you see someone driving like an idiot, tell them to pull over. Don't be in the car. Because you know what, at the end of the day, if you don't, you might have to live with the fact that someone got drunk and killed themselves or killed someone else. This is serious business, kids. I wish I could tell you, and I wish I could give all you girls a hug and just tell you it's going to be safe, it's going to be all right. But I'd be lying to you. It's not. You need to be defensive drivers. Every one of you need to be defensive drivers. When you get behind the wheel, you need to expect the guy driving next to you to be distracted. You got to leave yourself a way out. Because I don't want any of you guys to be memories. And I'm serious. When you go home tonight, if you listen to anything I say, you go home and tell your parents you love them, give them a big hug, and tell them you're going to be better behind the wheel. They're not going to quit worrying, but it'll make them feel a little bit better. You guys are my 39th high school, and as you came in, I asked you to grab one of these. You were asked to grab one of these. We've spoken to over 26,000 kids. Over 21,000 have signed the pledge. And it's cool if you don't want to sign this pledge. If you don't believe what I'm saying, that's cool. Don't sign it. Don't give me lip service. I come here, I pour my heart out to you guys because I care about what happens to you guys. So I ask that if you take this pledge, you're serious, you honor this pledge, and from this point on, you become better people behind the wheel. Because kids, at the end of the day, what you've done in the past doesn't matter. And I'm here to tell you, tomorrow's not promised. God, I know tomorrow's not promised. All we can focus on is the here and now. And I'm begging you guys that if you take this pledge, you honor. And if you plan, if you say no, I'm not going to honor this, but I'll give you lip service, don't do it. Let's not BS each other, okay? So what I would ask, for those of you that want to take this pledge, that you repeat after me. I pledge to keep my hands on the wheel, keep my eyes on the road, keep my mind on my driving. If I keep my hands, eyes, and mind where they should be, I can keep myself safe and keep Maria's message alive. What I ask is that you sign this pledge. You can keep the pen, tear off the perforated part. We don't do anything with this information. It's just for us to track. Drop it in the basket, keep the other half. You guys are all social media people. I ask that you share the message, be the leaders, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, set the example. The freshmen aren't here. Set a good example. And I beg you, this prom season, this weekend, be smart, be leaders, make the right decision. Because I'll tell you, I know some of you are probably thinking out there, it's not going to happen to me to be the other guy. And you know what? I used to think that. It's always going to be the other guy. Well, I'm here to introduce you. I am the other guy now. I tell everyone in closing that Maria's message is a message of love. I promise you that your mom and dad and your family loves you. I know that the administrators here, especially your nurse who got me here, loves you, and your principal. These first responders, they love you. Believe it or not, they do. They don't want to deal with it, and I promise you, I love you guys, or I wouldn't be here doing this. All I ask is that you guys love yourselves enough to keep yourself safe and keep Maria's message alive. Thank you very much.